Live, and we are live. And again, I've gotten really good at looking at it, so I know when it goes live. I'm not caught off guard as much anymore, so I swear less. Hello. Welcome to Tell Me More, Episode 3, my interview series about the industry with people in the industry. This is Episode 3 with Mr. Cam Bunton, everybody. Say hello, Cam.
Hello, Cam.
God, I knew.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Dad jokes. No. I'm allowed. I'm a dad. It's cool.
It's fine. I'm apparently actually 90 according to everyone at work, so I can make them as well.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this was actually meant to happen last week.
Yeah, but you bailed on me, so.
I bailed on him. I was actually in A&E last week, so kind of it's hard to podcast from A&E. It would have been fun to try though. Just monged out of my mind on painkillers. Would have been really fun. This week, unfortunately, you only get whiskey. So, Cam, before we start, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
I am a tech journalist, I guess is my official role. I don't like to think of myself that way. I write news and articles, and I make videos for 9 to 5 Google. So that's where you'll find pretty much all my work. I live in North Wales, right by the sea. Not on a private road, Don. I live with actual people on my street.
I live with people on my street. I just don't speak to them or anything.
I'm kidding. I've actually got 2 empty houses on either side of me. So,
that's kind of that's my ideal. I actually don't like either neighbor.
It's it's the street where rich elderly people live who have retired and have decided to go and live somewhere warmer for their retirement years. So they leave their houses completely empty. So I have no neighbours, but there are houses. That's pretty much it, I think. I play guitar, I speak Welsh, and I like to drink coffee.
Well, to counter that, I wish I could play guitar. I have a guitar and a ukulele upstairs. I just never learned to play. And unfortunately, my doctor said I'm not allowed to drink coffee after 6 o'clock. So that's why I'm stuck with. I say stuck.
They say whiskey's fine, no coffee. No coffee after 6, but you can drink hard liquor.
Literally, it's three heavily caffeinated beverages a day and none after 6 p.m.
Really?
Yeah, because I kind of possibly drank 16 espressos an hour before and kind of. In my defense, I just brought a new espresso machine and I was trying to make out. I shouldn't have to.
Have you seen that episode of The Office? You know, the American one where they.
No, it's one of those shows I never got around to watching, but I'm interested now. Tell me more.
There's an episode where they get an espresso machine and they have to try every single flavor of an espresso, and they end up tearing the carpets off the floor. They're basically high.
Yeah.
On caffeine, and it's amazing.
Well. Yeah, I kind of did that. So I'm not allowed any after 6. But they didn't say anything about alcohol. So funny story. I sent a friend out the other day to pop to the local supermarket because they've just started doing a little miniatures series. So for people that don't know, I don't know how you don't know, miniatures are miniature bottles of alcohol. So I don't have the real one with me.
I'm so glad you explained that to me.
Yeah. This is for everyone else. You're in the UK, you can buy miniatures.
Okay, all right.
A single serving of alcohol in a miniature bottle of the real version. So you can buy a miniature version of Monkey Shoulder, which is a whiskey, which comes out to, I think, 75 mil or something like that. So I also had to go out and buy the miniature bottle of a whiskey called Haig's Club. And she returns with this. She returns with the big bottle. See,
can I be honest?
You can.
It looks like aftershave.
That is one of the reasons I wanted to buy it, is because it had a really nice bottle. But no,
just don't keep it in your bathroom. You might get confused and end up going to work smelling like an alcoholic. So that's not a good thing.
Especially where I work, you don't want to come into an educational profession stinking of alcohol. No. Also, alcohol-free not aftershave, mouthwash. That's a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but
I'm very skilled at going off on tangents.
Oh God! You've obviously never listened to the podcast, Cam, because we probably have about 20 minutes worth of news, yet regularly run to nearly 2 hours. So
yeah.
Should we just start off?
Yeah, can do.
Go for it. So first question: how did you get into journalism? Either first writing, and then we'll speak about the video side.
Okay. Through Twitter, mostly. I love Twitter. It's the best thing in the world. But I was following, this was back when I was following PhoneDog a lot. They just launched an iPhone blog, and so they wanted people to volunteer. So then,
by the way, kids, ask your parents what PhoneDog is.
They're kind of still around.
They are kind of still around. I feel really bad because a lot of the stuff I'm writing at the moment, I'll let you get back to your point.
Yeah.
I have to keep saying, like, kids ask your parents, because I realize I'm putting such dated references in. I was like, God, I really am 90.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they were launching a new iPhone blog, and one of the editors that was working for them tweeted out saying, "Come apply to join our new iPhone blog." And I was just getting into iPhones back in those days. That was a long time ago. And they offered me a volunteer's job, so I started writing reviews and news and stuff then. That was like 2010, January. So just over 6 years ago now is when I first started writing articles. And I probably was pretty rubbish at it.
I highly doubt that.
Well, she liked what I wrote, but it wasn't very American. I think we have a way of phrasing things in Britain that doesn't quite fit with the way that American people speak, and obviously I had to adapt the way I wrote to fit the American audience, including all the spellings and all their various grammar things that they do different to us.
I think at one point I had a plugin for Chrome that what's it called, that I just Americanized certain words. So if I was on a certain website, it would like just drop the U's. So like color and favor, because we speak proper English, there is a U in it. Americans drop it. So instead of me having to remember to drop it each time, this Chrome extension just did it. I don't think it exists anymore.
No, I ended up just setting my Mac to being in American English dictionary. So then it would autocorrect if I wrote anything in English. It would just autocorrect it back, which means now I've gotten so used to writing in American that the English way looks wrong to me now.
That's right. We'll beat it back into you.
Yeah, I've been spoiled, ruined forever.
Okay, so what about the video side? So you originally got into the text side from Twitter. I'm assuming the video work kind of bore out of that afterwards.
Yeah, it did. I mean, at the time that I started writing on this iPhone blog, I was
Does that still exist?
Today's iPhone still exists.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it does, yeah. It's not as big as it was, but it's still there. What was I saying? I was studying at the time. I was doing TV and film production. That was my degree. So there was a lot of video work involved in that. And I was doing lots of script writing. And so it just kind of felt natural to at least try video at least once in a while. And it kind of seemed like people liked my videos when I started. So I carried on, basically.
Suddenly, all the times I've watched your videos and were very envious now make sense, now that I know you got a degree in film and all that lot.
Well, yeah, this probably won't help, but most of the degree you spent talking about the pre-production side of it, how to get money, how to plan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not as much. I didn't do a lot of shooting and editing. That wasn't what I did. I was a director and a script writer mostly. So I very rarely got my hands on a camera, very rarely got my hands in an edit suite. So that's all stuff that I've started doing now, or the last couple of years, I guess. But directing, planning, scripting, that was all the stuff I focused on.
Do you feel that was like time and, I guess, money well spent?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, I left a job in retail because I didn't want to be in retail. I wanted to do journalism, and I was interested in technology. So my ideal job was always technology journalism. So when I went to university, it gave me the time, basically, because you're only in class 3-4 times a week, and so I spent the rest of my time working, mostly for free to begin with. But I started and I don't regret it at all.
As someone who has worked in retail, and I'm pretty sure everyone that has ever worked in, especially in mobile retail, will kind of agree you don't want to stay there for very long. I did like 18 months to 2 years, and then that was it. Like, I already disliked people before working in retail, and it's
I started on a sort of career path. I started full-time sales, and then I got like a senior sales role at a different store, and then I got promoted to assistant manager. And I got to a point where there are some idiotic customers who come in shouting and swearing at you for things that aren't your fault, and I didn't really like that so much. But then also, my manager didn't look like he was ever going to leave, so there was never ever going to be any sort of progression in the short term. So I kind of had a look at myself and thought, I really don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And
that
then
makes sense.
and then I kind of twigged. One of my customers was a music journalist. I thought, that sounds really cool. I want to do that, and so I went for it.
Yeah, and as someone who is voluntarily writing, and by voluntarily I mean unpaid.
Yeah.
I definitely see what you're saying, because again, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be doing it nearly a year later.
No.
It's definitely not easy, but there are most definitely high points to it.
Yeah, well, you're doing what you like doing, which is, it's amazing. I mean, you can do a job and get paid less than what you would want to be paid, but because you love it, it doesn't matter. You'd rather have a job. I'd rather have a job I was happy in than be ridiculously well paid and hate it every single day. Is, I guess,
something I've genuinely done. So
yeah. I mean, retail I hated most days.
Yeah, I did care work for a relatively long time as well.
So did I.
And whilst not hating it, there are certain aspects of care work that is
stressful.
Yeah. You learn to dodge tables very quickly. I found. I specialize in a lot of drug rehabilitation, so I worked in a lot of rehab centers. And again, you kind of learn to. It's kind of like an outer skin. But no, you can be well paid for something you dislike, and you won't last there very long. But you still got well paid for it, and you can do what I'm currently doing, which is I'm a teaching assistant. I currently get paid minimum wage, and I still go in every week and do my job despite.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, knowing that you've done both and currently still do both, for you personally, what is harder, making videos start to finish or writing start to finish?
I know I already gave you an answer to this, and it's sort of already changed. It depends, I think, is the proper answer to the question. Because if I'm just writing a news article that's maybe 400 or 500 words long, that's not hard, really. I mean, it's like, it's just maybe tops half an hour, 40 minutes work. So in terms of length of time, it's easy. But I sometimes can struggle with like sentence structure and stuff, and it's harder to think of ways to write it in an interesting way when you know you've probably written in the same kind of story dozens of times already. So that can be hard. I think video is hard in the way that it has a lot to do. So when I very first start a video, it seems like a very daunting challenge, because that sounded like an old Sony Ericsson. Yeah, when I first start a video, when I'm planning a video, I'm very much aware of how much time is left before it's finished and how much work is left to do. But while I'm actually engrossed in it and doing it, I love it. So it doesn't feel as bad, even though it takes longer.
I get that. There's a lot of times when before I make the video, I'll kind of storyboard it out in my head, and I'll love the idea, and then I'll maybe get like 2 or 3 shots in, and I'm like, oh, there's 45 more shots for this, and then it's because
Do you storyboard stuff? Like,
I do. I'm quite obsessive. For those of you that don't know, I have Asperger's. One of the things that I have is everything has to be quite regimented. And one of the things is a lot of my work has to be storyboarded out, planned out. That's why a lot of my reviews follow a very similar structure. It's because that's the way my brain works. I have to follow a certain structure. So I have to storyboard out. So it'll be like shot one, and then I'll draw an image like start to finish, and then I'll write down what I'm most likely to say during that shot. And then I'll make the script from that. So it does take me a long time to make a video, and I'll get like 2 or 3 shots into making this video, and I'll still want to have the final result because I know I can make it, and I know that it'll be somewhat close to what I imagined. But then there's the entire bit in between was like, there is so much to shoot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to shoot it, or like physically able to shoot it all with the stuff I have. I don't know how the hell I'm going to be able to edit it all, because I'm a student on 2 different university courses at the same time, as well as working. And as we were saying before we started, I've been signed off of work at the moment too. This sounds so stupid to anyone that doesn't understand. There is a medical term, exhaustion, which is different from, oh my God, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
The medical term of exhaustion is pretty much your body has given up on you. And again, those of you that know, I was recently involved in a car accident. And last week, the reason why this didn't happen is because I was in A&E for exhaustion. Crazy that. So yeah, I was pretty much advised to take like 2 weeks off of work. And it's when your body's given up on you, it is amazing how much effort, seemingly effortless things take. Pulling a chair into a desk, not something you think about. You kind of just do it and get on. I can pull a chair in the desk I'm sitting on right now, and then for the next 5 minutes being like, damn, I'm out of breath. Or like, I can feel my heart rate rising, and I shouldn't have. I'm not an unfit person. My body is just so far gone at this point, which kind of exaggerates the whole 90-year-old person, a 21-year-old body thing.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Wow.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, no, I'm just broken at this point. Yeah. Just super duper broken. On the plus side, painkillers.
Yeah. Painkillers are good. I actually, honestly, I really don't like them. I only take them when I have migraines because I don't see any other way. But
yeah, no,
in this kind of creative industry, I find that it clouds my thinking a lot if I take painkillers. So I try not to.
I totally get that. Yeah. I totally get that. I'm prone to migraines. Biology hates me, so I'm on painkillers. I'm on beta blockers to stop migraines. Antidepressants.
Yeah.
And just a shit ton of painkillers. So like, how I'm
standing a lethal up. Combo. You're not standing up. You're sitting down.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know how my back is. What you can't actually see is below my chest. I'm actually just like duct taped to the chair to stop me falling over.
Yeah.
But yeah. No. This how I get anything done is pretty much. It's a miracle, really.
Yeah, I think it's a funny thing. I mean, you can have like physical exhaustion, and then like yourself, I've been on antidepressants in the past, and I still have those days where I have a low day, and it's just everything just takes a superhuman effort just to think. It's like I don't want to think today. I just don't want to. I don't want to write this article because exhausting just thinking about writing an article.
And it's not just the fact that it's physically exhausting. It's exhausting the fact that you really don't want to do it. But then you also feel bad that you don't want to do it, which in and of itself is exhausing.
The guilt just the guilt and the anxiety, and it's like I may as well just write it now because it's funny you say that because one of the things I've noticed since I've been in this industry is that if I don't finish something before the weekend, I cannot relax. It's impossible. I can't spend time with my family and chill out. I can't do anything without finishing what I'm working on, because the stress and the anxiety just builds up to ridiculous levels, and I just have to finish it. I'd rather stay up late till 2, 3 in the morning, have no sleep. And,
I mean, as a student, I stay up until 2 and 3 in the morning and get no sleep anyway. But I get what you're saying. And
yeah, I don't get that option anymore.
Quitting retail,
yeah,
my anxiety has gone down because I have to interact with the public less.
Yeah.
But pretty much every other aspect of my psyche has just dropped off a hill.
Yeah.
And like you said, if I've promised Craig, for those who don't know, Craig is the person that runs MobileTechTalk. If I've promised Craig an article will go up by 1 o'clock on Friday, and it's 6:30 on Friday, I feel terrible. Even if there's a really legitimate reason, like I couldn't get the photos done, or the research is just taking longer than we thought it would. Like, even if there's legitimate reasons, I can't relax. And the worst part is I can't even fake it till I make it in that case, because it's already late.
Yeah.
This got dark really fast.
It did. It's an important topic. Mental health. Mental health is important, especially in our kind of job where we have to be kind of self-motivated and we're isolated from real people all the time. It's like, thinking about this hangout was like, I get to talk to somebody for like the first time who isn't my wife during the week. It's like, it never happens unless I'm at an event or it's the weekend and I get to see people and come out of my cave.
I definitely get that. And on the this is actually something I tweeted out like probably about an hour before we came live. I really dislike going out. Well, I have very certain places that I can tolerate going to with a certain amount of people at a certain time. Blah blah blah. Again, all makes sense once you know something. When I have been out, and in the last 5 months I've been single, I have been approached at said place rather like a lot more than I would have thought, because look at me. So what I did earlier today was order a fake wedding ring, just so no one will speak to me when I'm out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dedication to staying single.
I mean, I don't want to stay single, but I just don't want to speak to people when I'm out.
Yeah. So, okay.
If I want to speak to someone, it's going to be on my terms.
Yeah. I'll take the wedding ring off and thou shalt speak to me.
Yeah, and the thing is they're really nerdy wedding rings. I bought one just like gold band. One of them has the Legend of Zelda, what's the triangle with 3 triangles on its side. I can't remember what it's called right now.
No, I don't. I'm not a Zelda fan.
And I've got the Assassin's Creed insignia on the third one. So they're really like geeky, and like, again, if anyone actually saw what was on them, they wouldn't want to speak to me anyway. But I'm kind of hoping that like the appearance of the ring means they won't attempt to speak to me in that way. Yeah. Knowing my luck, it won't work, but we can try.
It's funny you say that. I'm trying to think back to my youth, and I mean, I got married young, so
I mean,
I would generally.
You're not much older than me, Cam, are you? Go on.
What?
You're not much older than me, are you?
Yes, I am.
How old are you?
31. 32.
Really?
Yeah, just turned 30.
Oh, wow.
In March, yeah.
Oh, okay. I would not have guessed that. Okay.
I'm a late bloomer. It's all right.
I genuinely would have said you were like 27. So, okay.
I know. Yeah, I've always looked younger than I am, which was really,
yeah, you kind of got a baby face.
I have, and that was annoying at school because you go to high school and kids don't know whether you're a girl or a boy. It's like everyone wears the same uniform, so it's impossible to tell. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you'd hope the skirts and trousers would tell the difference. But
well, that's the funny thing is when I first started high school, I think was when everybody started. All the girls wore trousers as well, or they wore trousers with skirts stitched onto them. So they had like a skirt. Yeah, this was like trendy back in my day. Girls used to wear skirt trousers. They were like long, full-length trousers with a skirt stitched on top.
Interesting. That's like that's just like a fun Google search away.
Yeah,
that Google search is almost like the YouTube search that you find yourself 3 hours later on a completely different topic. That's what that Google search is.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know. Last time I looked at the clock was like 15 minutes ago, so I should probably say this next question. This is hilarious. This is exactly how I imagined this interview going, by the way.
Okay. Because I'm such a chatterbox.
Which is good. This is, like I said, that's the whole point of this series. It's talking about the industry with people in the industry. The fact that anyone has actually said yes to these interviews, because let's be honest, I'm a nobody. The fact that anyone has said yes to do this is incredible to me. So again, thank you once more.
It's okay. You just be thankful that we've all got massive egos. We just like to talk in general. I'm just kidding.
The best thing is like the amount of journalists that I know and speak to, that we have this fake egocentric persona, yet we are the most like internal, like hidden people in the world. So it's like, oh yeah, everyone bloody loves me, and it's like actually no one likes me because I'm a terrible person.
Nobody likes me because I don't spend time with them. I don't let them get to know me because I am inside my box all the time. Leave me alone.
That is exactly it.
And then I go and cry about why I haven't got any friends.
I don't quite go that far. My therapist would probably really like me to address that. But that's something for a different podcast. So you've had the chance to use some of the world's best and most unique devices over the years. Like I'm specifically speaking of that. Was it I think it's a Panasonic DMC1 or something like that. The one with the Leica lens.
Yes, that was really good.
Yeah. So you've had the chance to use them. Do you enjoy this position it puts you in with consumers, especially? And by consumers, I don't mean family and friends. I mean like people that come for you, like completely third party.
It depends. I try not to think of it because then it adds pressure, and then I start getting anxious, and then I get all that builds up again. I like to pretend that nobody is watching my reviews. And nobody's reading my words because that's the only way I can put them out there.
You should be me. Really, no one reads or watches my review.
But then I wouldn't have a paid job. I couldn't do it for money.
Got a point.
Yeah, and my family wouldn't be eating food. No, I mean,
well, you know that the supermodel diet is one of those that people crave and all that lot. So
not for kids though, is it? I would kind of get in trouble a little bit with social services if I was feeding my kids nothing but cabbage water every day. No, seriously, I mean, I like the engagement. I like that people come to me asking for advice. That's nice. And what I find is that people often have their own opinions that are quite strong anyway. And so they'll just go and buy whatever they feel like buying, regardless of what I say most of the time.
I definitely think that's something that's happened. It's like people ask for your opinion, but they really just want you to validate their opinion.
Oh yeah, they just want you to agree with them, and then I say, no, I don't agree with you. That's terrible. Like what?
And then they get angry, shout at you, and then try and belittle you over the internet.
Yeah, I'm generally very polite, so I don't get that so much.
Lucky.
Yeah, I've kind of escaped it mostly. I remember when I made my very first video, one of the first comments I got was somebody telling me to go and kill myself. And so,
wow.
I know. But then after that, it kind of got easier because every other comment was like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I was like, yeah, but this other guy told me to go kill myself, so I don't really care what you think.
Just one? Like I got essentially voted off of a channel I was working on because the community didn't like me. I have to moderate comments on a video because of like when I first started out, you're obviously being a Brit, you remember the orange San Francisco, one of the first Android devices.
What was the actual name of it though?
The ZTE Blade.
Oh yeah.
I made that was like one of my first real devices. Yeah. And I made a series of videos of how to make it look like a Windows Phone, a BlackBerry, and an iPhone.
Okay.
And the one to make it look like an iPhone is to this day like my most viewed video. So I think it's like 65 or 70,000 views.
Yeah.
But this is like when I first started out. So this is like 2011 or so. This is like 15, 16-year-old me getting like death threats and everything. So I had to like moderate comments in this video. It was horrible. And Again, it's like early YouTube, and it's really disheartening. I didn't have the community I now have to. Like, the YouTube community was so different 5 years ago than it is now. It's so.
I think
in a way, it's almost the community's better now. But it might just be because I've kind of gotten into a different sector of the community.
Yeah, and also you'll find that the people that are watching the videos are probably the same ones that maybe watching them 5-6 years ago, and then they've grown up, and they're not idiots. They're not idiots anymore. But I think I was quite lucky, because when I first started making videos, it was on an iPhone channel, and it's very easy to please iPhone fans. As long as you're talking about the iPhone, then we're good. And so I kind of practiced the video making on the iPhone channel. So when it got to going up to like Phone Dog's channel, which had a much bigger subscriber base, way more views, I was quite fortunate. They were quite nice to me, and I don't think I had many bad comments at all, unless I said something that someone didn't agree with. I had one particular guy who was just a troll who loved Sony Xperia devices, and if you said anything bad about them, then you don't know what you're talking about. But then those kind of trolls are everywhere. It didn't really get to me. But yeah, I've never been voted off a channel though.
I worked for My Color Screens, which is kind of one of those old channels, which is like just pretty much centered around theming.
Oh yeah.
And it was a part of XDA. I made about 3 or 4 videos for them. They were paid. I think I was paid about $30 a video, no matter how much time I spent on the video. By the way.
Oh yeah, flat rate pay per post. Yeah.
Yeah, paid per video. And yeah, I made about 3 or 4 videos for them, and they were just like, the commenters hate you. None of your videos are getting X amount. Like, just don't make any more. And I was like, wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a month employment somewhere before.
No. Yeah, that's tough.
Oh well, I've kind of gotten past it now, because again, you said you mature, the community matures, so.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
I mean, you'd really hope I've matured in about 5 years. Otherwise, something is most definitely wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that helped me was learning not to take them seriously. They were just expressing their opinion. They happen to love a Sony Xperia device, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not going to change what I think. I'm still going to say if I think something's bad. So I think it was, I think specifically it was the Xperia Z2, and the screen was sharp, but it was really faded. It wasn't a nice screen at all.
Sharp as in resolution, or it was made by Sharp?
No, it wasn't sharp. It was sharp as in resolution.
I mean, in this instance, it could literally be one or the other.
Yeah, it could. You're right, but it's Sony, so let's go ahead and presume it's a Sony display.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. I mean, it was one of those things where you think you compare it to other devices, and there clearly is a lack of color. There's a lack of contrast. It reflects really badly in sunlight, and I said so. And then obviously the Sony trolls come in and tell you have no idea, even though you've tested way more devices than they have.
I think this is actually somewhere where a recent device we've both tested have different opinions on. I really liked the Huawei P9's display in bright sunlight, and you apparently didn't like it as much.
No, it was horrible. It was really hard. Oh, actually, hang on.
Because I one of the things I've started to do with every review device I get, I'm going to do one personal vlog over the time I own the device.
Yeah.
So I did that starting with the P9. So obviously I was using it outside, bright sunlight. I could see everything.
Really?
Yeah, and again, automatic brightness. So it could have been adjusting and like boosting it in the sunlight and everything. Yeah. I mean, I really hope it was, because that's what auto brightness is for.
Yeah, I always leave it switched off. I generally have it quite high. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of devices nowadays have maximums on auto that are far higher than you can manually set. Okay. I think Samsung ones are. So I think Samsung tops out about like 500-ish nits on manual.
Okay.
And then go to like 800 on auto, because you're not going to be in the sunlight for that long. So they can boost really high and then just jump back down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Well, there are certain things I'm like super interested in, which is again one of the reasons I really started this series. But no, I had to send my P9 back today, and
Sorry about that.
Huh?
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I can't believe I'm saying I'm sorry about sending a Huawei back, but I genuinely am.
Do you know what I think was the ridiculous thing? I think what made the difference for me this time with Huawei was the fact that there was no squircle icons behind every icon.
I mean, there were still squircle icons on every icon.
You could get rid of them.
Yeah, again, you could get rid of them, and that was the thing.
Yeah, and I just had to install Google Now Launcher or just download a theme. Or I think it was a material theme from Huawei's Play Store. I downloaded one, and it was fine.
Yeah, no, I installed Pure Icons, the stock icon pack, as soon as I got the thing. And then like 3 or 4 days before I had to send it back, I found an Android N theme.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what made this device passable to livable for me.
Yeah.
Like, I still hate the way they do the notifications. I still hate the way they do the the multitasking menu.
Yeah.
But with these themes installed, I can live with it.
Yeah.
Like so many parts of Android have been taken out of core Android now that I can install them separately. I can get Google Keyboard. I can get the Google Dialer for like the phone. I can get Google Now Launcher, like you said, but I personally installed Action Launcher. I'm trying to switch to Action Launcher, I should say. And it's just like all of those things. And there was always two things I can't fix, which is the notification shade and the multitasking menu. With the Android N theme, it fixed the major issue, which is Google notifications always seem to break EMUI's notification shade. I don't know if you encountered this, where you get like black text in the dark background or light text in the light background, and you just can't see anything.
I can't say I've noticed. No, I didn't notice that.
I'm so lucky.
I think I'm trying to think with Huawei in particular. I think I may have been using I might have been using Nova Launcher instead of Google Now Launcher. So maybe that was the difference. I'm not sure. But there's lots of things you can do with them now. I mean, there's still frustrations with Huawei, like things like putting Do Not Disturb on. I use that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So not being able to just press and hold my volume buttons down and stick Do Not Disturb on that way.
But even automated Do Not Disturb works in a different way. So I'm coming from Motorola devices, which have like kind of one of the easiest like Do Not Disturb.
I think they do the best one actually.
Yeah.
With the Moto X style, just flick your notification shade down, Do Not Disturb until my alarm goes off. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
it's done.
But like that is not something that every device does, and it's like, why?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty bad. I've got my Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge has got a pre-timed Do Not Disturb on, which goes on every night at like 10 o'clock or something. So that's pretty good.
I realize like how lazy I am when I look at my predetermined Do Not Disturb times, and it goes on at 11 o'clock at night, because obviously that's roughly how late I'm working. But it doesn't turn off until about 8 or 9 in the morning, where I know most people have that thing turn off at like 7.
Yeah.
Because people are early birds, they get up for work or anything like that. So it's solid. No, I don't want that. Like, no. Just no.
Yeah, I think mine goes off at like 7:45 when I wake up. But then I've got children and I don't have a choice.
Yeah, no, see, like that is one of the definite benefits of being 9 years younger than you. Like, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
Will not think about having kids in the near future. Like, personally, that's just like one of my things. Like, I have a just over 1-year-old niece. Still don't pick her up.
No.
Like, pick her up by the back of her baby grow. She loves it. She thinks she's flying. For me, I avoid picking her up.
Yeah. You know you can't break them, don't you?
Do you know what? Kind of not sure.
Yeah.
Still think she'll break.
Yeah. I have seen mine fall off so many things and still not die. It's amazing. All of them have fallen down a full flight of stairs at least once.
See, am I a terrible person? Because I'm imagining that and I'm really trying to stifle a laugh. Not because, like...
when it's your kids and it's happening in real time, it is the most frightening thing in the world because you can't do anything to stop them from falling down the stairs. So yeah, it's not funny.
I mean, said flight of stairs like behind you or like
in front of me?
What? No, it's behind you.
Behind me?
There's a flight of stairs behind you.
Oh, that one. No. I've only just moved to this house. They haven't fallen down these yet. Yeah, I mean, a proper like upstairs, downstairs, full flight. Okay. Not nice.
No, that like kind of same thing happened today. One of my brothers came downstairs and turned around and accidentally. See again, I can't say it without laughing. Accidentally kneed my niece in the face.
Yeah.
And again, she's like 1 year and 4 months old, so she fell to the floor crying, and he was beside himself. And my sister is her mum, and she was beside herself, and I was just in the office just trying to laugh, and I was like, am I a terrible person?
Well, I mean, there's a certain element of comedy as long as they're not injured.
Yeah, no, she wasn't hurt. It was just a fact.
Then I think it's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna record that and I'm gonna play it back to her so she can't be mad at me. It's fine. So I don't know how I looked at the clock 20 minutes ago, apparently. Jesus Christ. What's it like for you? Huh?
Sorry, it's called having a conversation.
I don't have them very often, so I don't know how this works.
You talk, I talk.
Huh?
You talk and then I talk, and then we just keep doing that. It's a conversation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to write this down, notes for the future.
Yeah, do that.
So you're I don't know if you identify as a Brit, but I think I've just written you down as a Brit.
Yeah, I guess so.
Brit/Welshman, would you agree with that? Or
yeah, I mean, in our industry, I think I refer to myself as British. It's just the easiest way.
Yeah. So, what's it like being a Brit working for a primarily American company?
I think, like I mentioned before, you have to adjust your spelling and your grammar, which takes a little bit of time, but it seems second nature to me now. I don't know. I mean, the challenges aren't anything that's interesting to most people. I think the challenges are things that British employees take for granted, like holidays, being actually employed rather than self-employed and having to do your own taxes. I mean, this is all the stuff that I get stressed out with.
I cannot stand the idea of doing my own taxes. Like, that is one of the reasons I work for people.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I don't want to have to do.
I know. I've been doing it for 5 years now. I've just done my 5th one. But I mean, like I said before, I kind of suffer with anxiety sometimes. And so as soon as I get my letter through from Inland Revenue telling me to do my taxes, I just do it. I do it in April. Most people leave it till January. I do it as soon as I can, and then it's done. And then the anxiety's gone and I can carry on. But I think the big thing is definitely holidays. I think I have had, trying to think of actual holidays. Last year I took about 2 weeks off, but that was because I was moving house, and then we had a time of grieving in September because I lost a member of my family.
I don't think moving house counts as holiday time.
No,
as someone who's done it recently, that is the least holiday-like time I can imagine.
Yeah, I took 4 days to move house. I took 4 days after my sister's funeral. I took 4 days after she died. Last year, that was it pretty much. And then the year before, I can't even remember. I mean, most people in Britain, what do you get? Like 21 days a year minimum?
Depends on the profession, but yeah, roughly 21-ish.
Yeah, I would
roughly guess, like 3 weeks.
I would guess that I've probably had maybe 20 days holiday in the past 5 years all put together. So
that's absolutely insane.
I know. And there was one time where I was working with Phone Dog and Timo News where I kind of thought realistically, I'm never going to be able to take a holiday ever in my life. It was that bad because there was literally
that's got to be soul crushing though.
It was. And it was pretty damaging to my mental health. And I think I'm kind of glad that my lifestyle changed quite a lot.
And again, that's something we were saying earlier is just the sheer amount of members of the journalist community, whether that be text or video, that have anxiety problems is amazingly high from what I've discovered.
Yeah. I was reading something a while ago about it, and it seems to be, it's almost like a creative person's curse, because we overthink things a lot, because that's what we do.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to overthink stuff, because that's why we do what we do. We can't write an article without having overthought things.
Yeah, you literally have to think about it from someone else's perspective.
Yeah, and so you have that in every aspect of your life. It's hard to switch that off, and so you can overthink everything, and then that leads to anxiety. And then, I mean, it's helpful to get counseling and stuff, and to teach yourself good habits of training yourself to talk your way out of it and realize what the actual truth of the situation is. But it still doesn't help that initial, I've woken up in the morning feeling anxious about something completely stupid because I have overthought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to Michael about something very similar. Michael Fisher, who I interviewed 2 weeks ago now.
He's like the smaller American version of me.
But I was speaking to him. I was saying he's an ex-actor and I'm an ex-dancer. Yeah. In the fact that when you watch certain things, because you're trained to do it, you not get to enjoy it anymore. Like if I go to the theater and it has a dance piece in it, I'm sitting there and I'm watching their footwork, and I was like, they could have turned that foot out. Like he did not point that way. And he said the same thing. It's like, I wonder what angle they took that shot from. Like, were they using the best lens they could for this? And again, you never get to relax. There is no turning it off.
Yeah, and I find the same. For me, it's like that when I watch. Yeah, when I watch movies and TV shows, it takes. Sometimes I just have to switch stuff off because I can't stand the way they've written something, or I can't stand the fact that they've missed so many clear continuity issues within shot to shot.
Worst of those, I should say, is EastEnders. Like, in my personal opinion, as someone who has been in the show and worked on the show, like one of the worst offenders.
Yeah, EastEnders, they tend to shoot stuff all in one go, which is just lazy. I mean, they have to, I guess. But
again, like this is kind of like so British, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Ben Mitchell's deaf. Like his hearing aid will just change ears.
Okay.
Like again, that's not something most people will notice.
I think I stopped watching before he died. He was a little kid last time I watched it.
Oh no, he's like my age now.
Okay.
Like I think he's like gay or bisexual, come out of prison, blah blah blah. But he's I don't watch it all the time.
Typical EastEnders. Let's just make it as dramatic as we possibly can.
Exactly, but one of the things is like his hearing aid will just change ears. Like one of the worst continuity things possible.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I think my biggest problem is like story writing or like a narrative. Even in our industry, if a technology review doesn't have a clear narrative and it's just somebody speaking, then I can get bored very quickly. There has to be a structure. There has to be a sort of story arc, even in the most basic form. It has to start at the beginning as an introduction. It has to go through the features, and then it has to end with a conclusion. If it doesn't fit within that properly, I've paused and cancelled within about, I don't know, a minute.
And I think that I try and keep that in mind when I create my content, especially my written content. Is I find it very hard to make short form full content, I'll say.
Yeah.
So I know a couple of people in our industry that make written reviews try and limit themselves to about 3,000 to 4,000 words per review.
Mm-hmm.
Most of mine tend to be like between 5.5 to 7.
Okay.
And I understand that is a lot. Like that is a lot of words. Asking someone to read almost 7,000 words is a long thing to do.
That's a very in-depth thing as well, though. I think you have to. I don't do that at all.
Yeah, but I mean, I know for like you've said to me before, like you've read some of my stuff, and you say like I go so in depth on some things and then not quite enough on something else.
I don't think I said that, but sure.
No, I think you did on the Wiley Fox one. Like this is a long time ago.
Maybe I can't. Yeah, maybe that's right. I did read that one.
But it's. I think it's really hard to look at it from a writer and a reader perspective at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Because again, it's got to be something you'd want to read, but then at the same time, if you enjoy reading long form content, you've also got to make sure that it's digestible for people that enjoy short form content.
Yeah, I think for me, it's with my reviews, I mean, video is my biggest focus. And so I spend more time doing that than the written side. I don't physically have the time to write 7,000 words alongside a 5-6 minute video, which has probably taken me 3 days to make. So I tend to limit mine to, I'll probably say 1,500 words, and they just get the basic stuff in there. What's it like to use? What's the screen like? What's the camera like? I don't need to go in depth because there are plenty of people online who go super in depth on stuff, way better than I ever could. So I just do that. I just try and do it that way, as well-rounded as I can without getting too nitpicky. I think trying to give it an overall sense of the phone that people can read within, I guess, 5 or 6 minutes.
I got that. And like I said, just because we're here, do you want to tell the people where they can find your stuff?
Yes, you can find my stuff at 9to5google.com or the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/9to5google.
Cool. So what is your current technology setup? So that's like phone, watch, PC, laptop, tablet, etc., all that lot.
I don't have a tablet, and I currently don't have a laptop, which is like, I'm in between laptops. I've just finished using my MacBook Air. It's going to somebody else. I'm looking at a new one, and I can't decide between a MacBook Pro and a new 12-inch MacBook. So we'll see where that goes. I don't wear a smartwatch either. I just have a regular analog watch because I hate smartwatches that are on the market currently.
That makes total sense. I get that.
Yeah, I don't have. I've used a lot. I've used Pebble. I've used Android Wear.
That is my vice of choice. I do use a Pebble. Yeah. I really enjoy it.
I've been very tempted recently because they got price. Yeah.
Yeah, I will like completely say it's not like a conventionally pretty watch. I've got the Time Steel, but it's pretty in its own way, and I think its beauty lies in its quirkiness. I'll say.
Yeah, I think so, but I think I'm quite vain, so I have to.
No, like I totally get that. Like I said, I have a couple of really nice analog watches, like skeleton mechanical watches and stuff like that. If I'm going out to dinner or to the theater or something like that, I will not wear this.
No,
like, I will wear a proper watch.
Okay.
But like every day, I'll wear this because it's a functional piece of technology.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, like we were talking about overthinking earlier, I think for about 9 months last year, I spent looking at watches, trying to find one I liked. I tried all the smartwatches and I didn't like any of them day to day. I didn't like the way any of them looked, really. I thought there were some nice-ish looking ones like the Moto 360 and the Huawei watch, but there was always something that grated at me, like the Huawei watch is too small and too thick.
I was about to say, the one thing with the Huawei watch for me is that it's just slightly too thick. Like,
yeah,
I can deal with the size, but it's just slightly too thick.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Moto 360 with the flat tire. Oh, my life. Cutting the screen off like that. Oh, no, please don't. Just don't make it circle. Make it square if you're going to do that. So then, even looking at traditional watches, I spent months looking for a traditional watch until I found one I actually liked the look of. So yeah, I'm really hard to please. But other tech includes Galaxy S7 Edge is my phone of choice right now, but that could change next week or the week after, as soon as I get bored with it again. And an iMac is my main computer. I don't have a tablet currently. We have an iPad Air at home, the first generation, that the kids use, but I don't really use it anymore.
Interesting. So your iMac, is that like one of the 5K ones or a 21 or 27 or?
Yeah, it's a 3-year-old 21-inch. Just
okay, so you kind of like favor the smaller desktop.
I don't, but this was before the 5K came out. So
I mean, it still did 27-inch ones though.
But it was a bit too expensive.
Yeah, like they were always expensive.
Yeah, it was a bit pricey. I think at the time, even now, the 21.5-inch iMacs are actually pretty good value for money. I think, considering the build quality, what's inside them, how well they work.
Not the base one, because the base one has a spinning hard drive for whatever reason.
Yeah, I have a Fusion drive in mine, which makes all the difference. I paid extra to get a Fusion drive because that extra bit of flash just makes everything so much faster. But
they've even like gimped the Fusion drive in the newest models. They've like quartered the amount of flash. I think it goes from 128 to like 32 gigs of like just flash, and I was like, why? Like,
isn't that that's on the 4K ones, isn't it? The smaller ones, or is that on the 5K as well?
I don't know. I'm just trying to do this in the background, and
I think I remember when the 4K Retina ones came out, there was a big uproar about quite a few things on that because it seemed like it was just shortchanging and on so many things. Compared to the 5K
I dislike the fact they call it I dislike the fact they call it 4K when it has neither UHD nor DCI 4K resolution. It's just whatever they've decided to make.
I know, it's like they used Retina for everything that was just a bit sharper than the last one.
Yeah. So like for people that don't know, UHD, which is the 4K that people know, is 3840 by 2160.
Yeah.
DCI 4K is 4096 by 2160.
Mm-hmm.
The Retina 4K iMac is 4096 by 2304.
So it's not quite. It's sort of in the middle of nowhere.
Like, if I'm correct,
I guess it's closer to QHD. Is it?
No,
because that's 1440 by 2560.
Yeah, like it's closest to DCI 4K. It's just above that, but like why not just because it's not a 16 by 10 display? It's just slightly over 16 by 9. Why not just put a? I'm just going to get
no, but I mean, no one should buy the 4K iMac anyway because you can't put your own RAM in. You can't do anything. I mean, I think there's a maximum of 16 gigabytes of RAM.
I mean, I don't know. I literally just closed the page.
I don't know. I've been looking into them, and I've been looking at upgrading my iMac as well. And the 4K iMac just isn't an option. It's not happening. I'd rather have a powerful laptop and an external monitor than you have the 4K iMac. That's how bad it is. I just don't want one.
I mean, like that's kind of the way I'm in, but in reverse at the moment.
Yeah.
So I have a powerful Windows computer here that I built. It's kind of showing its age at this point. It's about 3-4 years old. I'm kind of waiting until later this year for the new graphics cards from NVIDIA and AMD to come out.
You mean the one that just came out, the 1080?
Oh, the new ones from NVIDIA they've been announced. They're not being available until next month.
The 10, they look pretty awesome.
1080 and 1070. The reason that, again, if you want to know why these are so important, go back and watch episode 1 of Talking Tech with Josh Walrath. But no, the reason these are so important is graphics card manufacturers, because the dies are so big, they couldn't move to smaller process nodes. So whereas Intel owns their own nodes, they can go from 32 to 22 to 14, and they're still on 14, but they've just done it 2 or 3 times now. And mobile manufacturers last year were able to go to 20 and then 14. Graphics cards, they couldn't. They had to stay at 28 nanometers. There's only so much you could do at that size. And they got really efficient at that size, but again, they couldn't shrink. They couldn't do anything. So this year is the first time in nearly 5 years they're doing a process change, and they're going from 28 nanometers to 14 nanometers.
That's a huge
16.
Jump. It's a huge jump. It's a huge jump in terms of shrinking.
Yeah, I mean, AMD is quoting roughly 2.5 times performance per watt.
It's pretty awesome.
And it is like and again, that's why this is so important. It's so impressive. Like currently, if you want to get I'm trying to think, a computer that you can do VR on, you're literally spending thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Like discounting the head-mounted display, you're probably spending about $1,000 just on the computer. These new cards will bring that $700 graphics card to the $300-400 range. And again, they'll do that performance at half or 3/4 of the power consumption. So it's better it's literally better in every way. You just have to wait a few months for it. And in the same way, AMD's CPU is kind of like lagged in the same way. They've not been able to do smaller jumps like mobile manufacturers have because they're bigger than mobile manufacturer CPUs. So later this year, I'm upgrading both, and that's going to be great. But until then, I've got a big Windows PC here, and I actually use a Chromebook.
Oh yeah,
as my laptop.
I get that. I had a Chromebook for a while, and until I started editing videos regularly, it was awesome. And then it got to a point where I was like, I need something I can edit videos on.
And I think that's where my thing for you comes in. When you were saying, are you going to get a MacBook or a MacBook Pro, is how often do you reckon you're going to edit video on it? And I was like, if you think you're going to edit video on it often, I'd probably go for the MacBook Pro, depending on what you use to edit.
No, I mean, I use at home, my main machine obviously is the iMac. I use that for most of my editing. For the laptop is mostly for events where I might have to edit a couple of videos.
No, I meant software. I mean, like, use Premiere or Final Cut.
Neither.
Oh, okay.
I use iMovie.
Oh, that's probably like the best of both worlds in a weird way.
It's easy, and it does. I mean, I don't need to do fancy After Effects stuff. I need to do something that looks good, but doesn't take up lots of time because I don't have the time. So,
and the fact it's hardware accelerated means you can use the hardware on the 12-inch MacBook and not be horribly gimped by it.
Yeah, and I edited 4K actually for the first time on my old iMac, and it was fine.
Oh, wow.
Which is like, yeah, that's pretty good. Apple knows how to make good editing software. I think that's why I guess I'll always stick with Macs for my own work devices.
Oh, I totally get that. I mean, like I said, I use Windows, and every time I see people say like Final Cut or stuff like that, and I was like, there really is like no good editor for Windows that isn't Premiere. Like,
there's Avid, but then I don't know what that's like anymore. I haven't used it for a long time, but it's
I have a cousin who's in like advertising that uses Avid, and he hates it.
Yeah, horrible.
And then you have like Sony's editing suite, which I kind of feel is abandoned at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Then you have Movie Maker, but then when you go with like what's included with your OS, you have Movie Maker or iMovie. One of them is really good. The other one is just, it's passable.
Yeah, iMovie is essentially Final Cut Pro Lite.
Yeah, and Windows Movie Maker hasn't been updated since 2012.
No.
Like that's where we're at this point. I would love for Microsoft to overhaul, like, just clone iMovie at this point. Like,
yeah,
just go
pay the royalty fees, just copy it, rip it off.
Yeah, like, just straight up make it just like a relatively decent, or just like not terrible non-linear video editor. Because again, I use Movie Maker. I'm a student. I am super poor. I can't afford to pay like Adobe's licensing fees or Sony's like fees for their software. I use free software. Like, if I could like get a decent non-linear video editor, I'd be so happy.
Yeah, I almost upgraded to Final Cut Pro once, but then I think they launched iMovie. I think it's 11 now. Whatever the latest one is, and they added so many tools to it that I thought I was missing before. And it's like, what? I don't know if I'm ever going to have to change unless I need to start putting animations and stuff in, or making higher bitrate videos for whatever reason to look more professional. Then iMovie is working for me, and it's quick, which is the most important thing.
And like I said, look, Apple knows how to make editors that work really well with its hardware. Like we saying, like, Apple has very limited certified hardware, so it can build its software onto that certified hardware. That's how the 12-inch MacBook can edit 4K video on Final Cut better than a quad-core i7 Windows machine with like
Premiere Pro
on Premiere, just because it's not optimized for it. Like
Premiere's just slow.
I disagree. I would disagree with you if what you were saying wasn't so true. So
yeah, it's not. I mean, it can't be. We could complain about it not being optimized, but it physically can't be. How?
Yeah, it's the same way as Windows can't be optimized because it's designed to work with everything. Like
exactly. It can't be. It's just not possible, and it's never going to happen unless Apple buys Adobe.
Oh God, which is like the literal worst thing in the world,
wouldn't it? They just close it all down. Like, oh, that sucks. That sucks. That sucks. That sucks.
Or they might do to Premiere what they did with Beats and Apple Music. They might literally just tack Premiere Pro onto the side of iMovie and just call it a new product, which is what they do with Apple Music.
Yeah.
So, again, it's been like 20 minutes. I'm super bad at this interview type thing. What tech do you think will rise most in the next 4 years? And I know 4 years is a weird number, but I'm trying to think to like 2020.
4 years. Is it? Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with the standard answer that everybody probably gives, and that will be VR. And obviously electric cars are going to be the two biggest growing things, I think.
Which of the two are you more interested, like personally, for? So I know what I'm more excited for.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably the cars.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I like VR, I like gaming, I like the immersiveness of it, but electric cars is a big deal because we've been driving petrol-powered cars for hundreds of years. Well, not hundreds of years, but over 100 years. We have been using practically the same technology in slightly more efficient ways every year. But with electric cars, it completely changes everything. And I'm really excited. I think the Model 3 is the biggest deal in cars since the Model T.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day.
It's like 400,000 signups, pre-orders for an electric car.
Yeah, I think it was late last week with the news broke that they'd got 400,000 pre-orders. I was like, so wait, 400,000 people have put $1,000 down for a car that's not finished in design and for one that will not begin production until mid-time next year and will not ship until the end of next year at earliest.
That's if they get things right, which doesn't sound like they have yet.
Exactly. That is mind-blowing.
I know. It's like I'm thinking back what it would be like in terms of like mobile technology, and it's like if Apple told everybody that iPhone was coming 3 years before they did, and then just took pre-orders for it without showing you really what everything it was about. It's £1,000. It's like
that mic drop moment as well.
It's a $35,000 car. I mean, that's not a small amount of money. In terms of like Teslas, that's cheap, but it's not a small amount of money. That's not cheap.
like my ideal would be to like get to the point where at the end of next year, so the end of 2017, when they start shipping, if I can be in a place financially where I can lease a Model 3 or like pay for it like every month type stuff on like what's it called, like on a payment plan, like if I can get to a place where I can do that, I will be happy with myself. A lot of people think I kind of like hate cars and stuff or hate driving when I say that, and I think it's completely the opposite. I very much enjoy driving. I just dislike changing gears. I'm not one of those people that's like really likes feeling the vibration of the car. I don't like hearing that engine sound. I like it as a kind of serene experience type thing. And, the electric car only just makes that better. Just at this point in time, there are no electric cars that like kind of strike me as like, ooh, I want that.
No, Tesla's the only one making exciting ones.
And strangely, I'm not going to be able to afford a Model S.
I know, and I mean, like for consumers, not like the super powered ones, like the Porsche hybrid or whatever they are. But yeah, for me, I think the electric car's a big deal because, I mean, like we were talking about anxiety earlier, one of my weird phobias is driving. I haven't passed my test yet because...
Neither have I.
It's like I took a test a few years ago and I failed because I was too cautious. I was too nervous behind the wheel. I was too slow at junctions. I didn't pull out. It's like this thing, but a Model 3, if I could get one, that would make me want to drive.
Yeah,
because I would feel like being an electric motor, I can control it more. I'm not as scared to choose the wrong gear because there is no gear. It's just you put your foot down and it moves.
Yeah.
And then I lift my foot and it slows. Or what? I mean,
and again, it is like you lift your foot and it slows, but it slows properly because, oh my God, these new wondrous things have something called regenerative braking. So you don't even put your foot on the brake and you're putting energy back into the battery.
Yeah, I know. It's like how cars should have been from the beginning, but couldn't be because the technology wasn't there.
It was.
I was trying to explain this to my wife the other day. How good an electric car would be is like it would be really quiet. There's no noise. There's no fumbling around with the gear stick. There's no stalling. There's nothing. There's no there's no engine going wrong because there's not enough oil in it. There's nothing of that. And she's like, no, but I like changing gears. I like the feel of it. I'm like, oh, that's just weird.
Then you're like, the only thing you would hear is the kids, and you're like, oh wait, so they're allowed to sing in the car anyway.
Yeah, I know.
One of my my previous partner, we were going out for about 3 or so years. She said, like, if I passed my test before my last birthday, she would book me a test drive in a Tesla Model S.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I didn't get it done, so I didn't get to drive a Tesla Model S. But that's motivation type of.
Yeah, I have.
Again, it's when I say it's the Apple of car companies, I don't mean it's because they make the nicest looking hardware, but they do. They just kind of seem to provide the entire package, which is important.
I think there's lots of things that are important about Tesla. It's kind of like Apple because it's not just about the fact that it's a really good electric car. It's about the superchargers, which you can just use for free to charge your car up. Because you bought a Tesla, you can use this charger for free, and it's really fast. It's like that. Yeah, that's it.
And it's like, oh, and by the way, those superchargers, they're powered by the solar panels from our other company. So it's like, by the way,
it's a good electricity. It's sort of, can you imagine going to buy a petrol car and like whoever telling you free petrol forever?
Yeah, if he had told me when I bought my car, by the way, until you give us the car back or set it on, you never have to pay for petrol. I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the things. Like when I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day who's just bought a new car. And he bought like a low-end BMW, A, flash bastard, and B, it was kind of, I was trying to think why he wouldn't buy an electric car.
Yeah.
And I realised the only real electric car worth buying at the moment, is the Nissan Leaf. And then I realised why he bought something else.
I saw there's a lady up near us actually that has a Nissan Leaf. It's the first time I've ever seen one, and I'm like, you poor woman. I'm so sorry.
I see so many of them where I am. Because again, I live by the seaside, so there's loads of seaside car parks, and all the car parks have electric car chargers.
Yeah.
So people drive their cars during the week, and then by the weekend or Monday morning, they'll park their cars in the car park, plug them in, go to work, and then come back out when they finish work, and their car is charged for the next week or two. And that's great. Just I wish they didn't look so bloody ugly.
Yeah.
Which is where the Model 3 comes in. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's not perfect, but there's the e-Golf, which will be here at some point.
I mean, my main problem with the e-Golf and the e-Up is just the price premium they command over their internal combustion engine counterparts.
I know.
I think
because they know they're not going to make as much money on selling you servicing and selling you parts of the engine that are going to go eventually.
Which is hilarious because German vehicles are very rarely go wrong. But it's like an up you can get one for like $8,000, and then like most people buy the 11 grand version of the up. The up starts at like 25 grand, which is just
it's the price of a Golf. It's like, am I going to buy an electric up or am I going to buy a GTI?
I mean,
I'm going to buy a GTI.
Like, it's kind of, again, it's like the cooler car. It's like it's got the type stuff. And then it's like, am I going to buy the GTI or am I going to buy the Tesla? I'm going to buy the bloody Tesla.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of German cars anyway. I find them too predictable and kind of boring.
Yeah, we have a Touran, so.
I mean, like, I own a Fiat. Like, my car starts in the morning. I'm kind of like surprised. But if it's cold,
there's a 50-50 chance it's not.
Yeah, like that, and that's genuinely what I like about it. It's the I'm not sure aspect of it, which
an Alfa Romeo.
Oh, like my dad and my sister both had Alphas, and it's just like, I'm going to stick with Fiat now because I don't want my gearbox on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So out of VR and electric cars, the electric car is your big thing in the next 4-ish years.
It's the thing I'm most excited about, especially with the development of like self-driving cars. That is something that I've been looking forward to since I was about 5 years old. A car that can drive me somewhere on its own.
And being a super lazy person, that's kind of like, if I could like type in here on my phone, like, I want to get to, I don't know, Trafalgar Square. Like, that's like 115 miles away. Go to Trafalgar Square on my phone, put my phone in my pocket, and then walk to my car, turn my car on, and then my car just drives me to Trafalgar Square.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah,
like that is like kind of the dream. That's how lazy I am. That's kind of where we're going. And was it Fiat Chrysler Automatics, so FCA, just signed a deal with Google to make self-driving minivans?
They did, the Pacifica. I wrote about that last week. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is cool. But those are hybrids, but they sound like they're really good hybrids. They've got a good electric engine, they're a good electric motor that can go quite a long distance without having to engage the petrol engine, which sounds really cool.
I think we're kind of in this weird space, which is we had internal combustion engines, then we had hybrids, which like but like the electric motor was very rarely kind of engaged, so it kind of didn't really make sense. We had like pure electrics, and then we kind of went back to hybrids, but we had hybrids where they're plug-in hybrids.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what hybrid should have been from the start, I think.
Yeah, the Pacifica is a plug-in hybrid. Yeah.
But then it's kind of like the internal combustion there is there in it just in case, rather than the main thing for you. Because again, a lot of people, even with a 200+ mile range in a Tesla, are gonna, no matter how often they may travel to the near the maximum range, they will still feel range anxiety at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing. I overthink electric cars a lot because I want one.
Yeah.
So what do you? So again, like VR and electric cars are things like you kind of think that will rise most in the next 4 years. What has been overhyped the most in the last like 2 or 3 years?
Wearables.
So like specifically like watches or like the entire. Like,
I think the entire thing. There's a lot of focus. I find that, like I said about smartwatches, I never found one that I really liked, but I found that it was harder to ignore notifications when they come on my wrist than if they're in my pocket.
But I mean, the entire reason I got one was because I was working in a care industry and I got it as an is it important machine.
Yeah.
And then I realized I just could not let it go.
Yeah.
So like it's probably an unhealthy thing at this point.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, like you kind of need that unplug. And
yeah, I mean, one thing I have gone back to a few times is I'm wearing it now, my Jawbone Up 24. I bought it in the beginning because it was really useful. It told me about my sleep patterns and how I could improve that. And that was, I mean, with someone with anxiety and depression, if you don't get enough sleep, that ruins everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if I get 6 hours sleep, then that's not enough. I'm going to be horrible the next day. So the Jawbone was good at getting me into a healthy routine. Also, in terms of how many steps I took and how much exercise I did. So I'll put it on for a few weeks, get myself back into a good routine, and then take it off again once I know I'm back in a good place.
How light is the Jawbone? Because I have a weird thing where I can't sleep with kind of like jewelry type stuff on. I can't sleep with my Pebble on, even though it can do sleep tracking. Is it like unobtrusive?
Yeah, I mean, you can feel it. You know it's there, but I ignore it quite. I mean, I wear bracelets and watches anyway. It's not a big deal for me.
But do you not take those off when you sleep, or?
I take the leather one off when I'm sleeping. The Jawbone stays on, but it doesn't really bother me. I remember when I was a kid, I used to wear my watch to sleep. It was like, it doesn't bother me at all.
I know people that wear like watches and necklaces and rings to sleep, and I just can't. For my Pebble, I think I'm just gonna like smash the screen.
Yeah.
But I've thought about getting like a Jawbone or like one of those Xiaomi like Mi Bands for like 20 quid.
Yeah.
Just to do like sleep tracking. Cause I know I don't sleep enough.
Yeah.
And I know I don't need to know how little I sleep just because it's going to make me even more upset.
Yeah.
Like, I probably should know how little I sleep just so I can try and make it better.
I think the good thing for me is that it's powered by the app, and the app tells me go to sleep at 11:30 at night if you want to get enough sleep by the time your alarm goes off in the morning.
Yeah.
And that is the most useful thing in the world for me, because I can easily stay up way past when I should, working or watching a movie. And then I wake up the next morning when my kids get up and I'm wondering why I feel awful. Why am I anxious? Why can't I get any work done? And that's the most useful thing. But as an entire industry, I think wearables, I personally haven't found any other use apart from that that's genuinely useful to my life. And
I get that.
And I struggle to recommend some stuff. It's like people who are already healthy, who do exercising, they don't need a wearable to tell them what they already are. So,
or they've got those like hyper expensive ones. They have like the chest straps.
Yeah.
And they if they're one of those people that's like at the gym all the time, or they're like really good at running or cycling, they don't need you to tell them what app to use. They already know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're not using Strava, you're probably doing it wrong. Yeah. For running anyway. Yeah. But yeah.
Every time I think about running, I'm just like, nope, I'll do cycling instead.
Yeah, I don't have a bike. That would be my default as well. But then where I live, there are no flat roads. You're either going uphill or downhill. And that's it.
Just think about like the the quads that you'll have, or your hamstrings, or whatever the top of your legs are. Just think like how like amazing your legs will be. Like after cycling up this hill.
I know. Yeah.
I definitely get that. As I said, I got my smartwatch as an important machine.
Yeah.
I started out with a smartwatch 2. Then I went to an original Pebble, and then eventually a Pebble's Time Steel.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be without it these days.
I get it. I mean,
but it's not without faults. Like anyone that, it's very rare to find a person who cannot fault something for legitimate reasons.
Yeah.
Like if someone cannot fault a company or a product, that is kind of my definition of a fanboy/girl.
Yeah.
Unless they've got like legitimate reasons. I'm kind of fanboyish with Tesla, even though I know they're not perfect. I have bouts of thinking they are.
I know. They pull off these silly little stunts like charging you to unlock the extra capacity in their batteries, and you're like, why? It's there. It's right there. Why? It's like, imagine if Apple released an iPhone in one single storage option, but you had to pay $100 more to unlock it to 64 gigabytes. or if you had to pay even more to get.
That definitely seems like something Apple would do.
I know, right?
Which is like scary. It's actually something I've actually done. The Alcatel Idol 3, the 4.7-inch one, the single SIM variant came with 8 gigs of storage.
Yeah.
But because the dual SIM one came with 16 gigs, what they did is they just hid 8 gigs of the storage. They just used the same phone, they just hid 8 gigs. And Paul O'Brien from Monaco found a way to just like unhide it. Yeah. So now I have a 4.7-inch Idol 3 next to me with the questions on.
That's pretty awesome.
That is like one of my favorite phones, actually. I genuinely can't wait until the Idol 4s come out.
I know, I saw them at MWC in Barcelona. They're really nice.
And like,
they've got more competition this year because more companies have caught on to that whole premium, cheap price, high spec. But it's going to be a good phone.
I think MKBHD said it best, which is good phones are getting cheap and cheap phones are getting good.
Yeah.
I said like for a lot of the earliest time, the Moto G was like the default.
Yeah.
And
then the OnePlus One.
Moto G got competition, for like the OnePlus One and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Over the last year, I've learned to either appreciate phones I thought were ugly before, or I found them quicker now their successors are out.
Yeah.
I've learned to like aspects of the OnePlus 2's design, whereas I just found it like abhorrently ugly to begin with.
I felt that way about the OnePlus One.
I quite like the OnePlus One.
Yeah, it was too plasticky for me, and I think the big deal for me was that it felt quite flimsy, especially when you took the cover off the back, and you realise that it's just a really thin piece of plastic that they've roughed up a bit. It's not a premium plastic like they're trying to make it look like. It's horrible. And of course, the commenters, when I said that, said, "What are you on about?" Blah, 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 blah. I was like, "No, it really is. It's horrible plastic that they've just roughed up a bit."
They put sandpaper plastic. Yeah. They put sandpaper paint over there. Which, again, people that don't know, you can go to like B&Q and buy sandpaper paint. I didn't know this until the other day. You can. But like I said, I was a really big fan of the OnePlus One. Hated the OnePlus 2 at launch. Over this last year, I've learned to like certain parts of it. I still really hate the camera module at the back, and I really don't like the capacitive, the fingerprint sensor on the front.
Yeah, I get that.
I've really learned to like the metallic band. I was really upset with the fact they used USB-C with USB 2. Again, like screw early me. Like I don't care. Like I put this in my Huawei P9 review. I'm happy to be called out as wrong. Like when I was wrong, and I was wrong before. But it's like the HTC One M9. Like I have really disliked the design of the One series from when they came out.
Yeah.
And very vocal about it, all the way back to the One M7. And I really disliked the One M9 as well. Until the HTC 10 came out.
Yeah.
Then the HTC 10 came out, and I was like, well, the One M9 doesn't look so bad now, does it?
It's amazing how often that's happening this year, though. I'm looking at the leaks for the Moto X, the new one, and I'm like, can we not just go back 2 years? Can we just go back to the second generation Moto X?
No, like
please.
The first gen was like the ideal. Like if I could have the original Moto X, like size, dimensions, instead of plastic, use metal. So like use the Moto X style body in the size of the original Moto X with modern components would be my ideal.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the reasons I love the Idol 3 4.7 so much, is because it's just a small device I can actually hold in one hand. It's not slow. It's
Why didn't you like the OnePlus X again?
I really don't like capacitive buttons.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I was going to say, you want a small device that's really good. I can't think of many better, personally, than the OnePlus X.
Oh, no. I know people that have the OnePlus X and the OnePlus 2, and they love them. Like, they are... OnePlus fans are weird, though. OnePlus fans are almost as bad as Windows Phone fans in some way, where if you agree with them, they're the loveliest people in the world. If you disagree with them, they become quite vitriolic quite fast.
But then I think it's a whole psychological thing of being in a community, though. They're protecting what's theirs, and OnePlus is a very community-driven company.
Oh,
they do what their community wants, which is why they release rubbish sometimes. It's like yeah, don't listen to. They really don't know everything. Just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the OnePlus 3 looks terrible as well. So,
I mean, if what we're seeing leaked is the OnePlus 3, it's yet another OnePlus I won't be buying.
Yeah, it's like an HTC back with a OnePlus front.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, if the Moto X 2016 leaks are true, it's a Motorola I won't be buying, which is the first for a couple of years. That is, I will say that is a genuinely ugly device.
It is. I haven't. Yeah, I agree completely. I've been quite a big Motorola fan for the past couple of years, but that one is the first one that I'm not even looking forward to.
Yeah, but it's weird. Like, I think today or yesterday we started hearing rumors that it may have like modular parts, like the LG G5.
Yep.
But it's this like modular back covers that add certain functionality, and to me, that's the wrong type of modular.
Yeah.
The right type is what Google's trying to do with Aura, where the entire device can be stripped down and rebuilt piece by piece, like just in case. This is a high-end product that you're essentially saying it's not quite finished anyway, and we might release more stuff for it. Like, I don't see LG releasing more than the 2 or 3 released frames of the G5.
No, I don't. I think they've shown off everything we're ever going to see, which is pretty sad. But it's the same with the Motorola. It reminds me, do you ever remember a company called Yola from Finland? Yeah. Remember the Sailfish phones, the Yola smartphone? Yeah, and that had this weird... Yeah, it had the other half thing. It basically like an NFC chip. You take the back thing off and then you can clip something else on. It'll change your wallpapers. Or there was companies working on keyboards that you could attach.
Do you remember when, like, Nokia did that? Like the N97 type days where like you used to buy like different backplates that had changed the theme and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like that. It's 2016, and these are tactics that small companies do, or companies who have kind of run out of ideas. And that says to me that smartphone companies are really starting to run out of ideas, and that worries me.
What is left of Nokia rebuys Yola.
Yeah.
A part of me is really hoping that they like rebuy Yola and get back into the smartphone business.
Yeah.
So this kind of like comes into our last question, so I don't want to keep you too long.
No worries.
Is like I said, a perfect device can never exist, whether it be smartphone, laptop, tablet, smartwatch, whatever. A perfect device can never exist. Like, what is perfect, the goalposts are always changing. But in this, like, if we froze time now, and you got to pick, say, a smartphone, what would your perfect smartphone be?
I mean, I really like the S7 Edge. I think there are a couple of things I would change about it. I think I would keep. I like the design a lot. I keep that. I would keep the camera on the back. I would replace Samsung's software. I'd just get rid of it. Put stock Android on there, preferably Android N because it's already feeling nicer than Marshmallow. I would put USB Type-C on it with quick charge. Basically, a Samsung without the flaws.
Samsung without the Samsung.
Yeah, there's the Samsung without the silly decisions is basically what my perfect device would be. So stock Android with a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge with quick charge.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
The real question is, would it use Qualcomm quick charge or USB quick charge?
I wouldn't use Qualcomm because that would mean that I would have to have a Snapdragon 820 processor.
I totally get that. Again, as a massive CPU nerd, kind of get what you're saying. I've kind of been a big fan of the Exynos stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I'm actually speaking with a couple of people to see if I can get kind of deep dives into the processor in the S7 because it uses custom Samsung cores.
Yeah.
That to me, as like mega nerd, is super exciting.
That's awesome.
To me, I think like the ideal device.
Oh, I forgot to say, sorry, not quick charging, VOOC from Oppo. Carry on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'll keep on watching this video while it's still quick charging at an alarming rate without getting hot.
I was about to say, that's the thing, it doesn't get hot.
No. I made a video recently comparing it to like other quick charging. You remember you said about the Motorola X style charger, you know, Turbo Power 25? It's like Quick Charge 2, but on steroids.
Yeah.
And even against that, it did better than that. Like playing a video, it charged to like 80% within 40 minutes while watching constant video from 10%. It's just insane. But
one, it's super annoying that you can't buy the Turbo Power 25 charger anywhere.
Yeah.
2, that was an insane charger. 3, it also got insanely hot from what I remember.
Oh, the phone. Yeah, the phone does. That was the one thing.
This phone got super hot. The F1 Plus doesn't get anywhere near as hot.
It's like 10 degrees cooler.
Yeah,
like
literally.
Makes
me super excited to tell you that I'm getting an F1 Plus.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I give you advice? Leave the screen protector on. Don't take it off. The screen scratches so easily. I don't even know how, but there are really bad scratches on my one.
That happened on my. What did that happen with? The Moto X Play.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know, like what they use for that.
It's cheap glass. That's what it is. I don't know why.
Like my Idol 3 is scratched, but like that was a Dragon Trail or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that was
really. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when something is supposed to be using Gorilla Glass and it's scratched, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think my ideal device would kind of be an Idol 4S, an Alcatel Idol 4S, in the size of the 4.7-inch Idol 3.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't like the plastic.
Yeah.
That is pretty much the only thing I don't like about this phone.
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of affection for the Idol.
I have both of them. I have the 5.5 and 4.7. I gave the 5.5 to my mum. I hate big phones.
Yeah.
And I kept the 4.7. I love this thing. The speakers are amazing. The screen is great. Every Snapdragon 400 phone I've tested has been faster than every Snapdragon 600 phone I've tried, or 615 phone I've tried. That was a terrible processor.
Yeah, it's very laggy.
Yeah, like the RAM going up of that in like a couple of days. But yeah, so there was very few things about the Idol 4 I disliked, and one of them was the fact that it was just so plastic and creaky. So if I could get rid of that, like, that's what I do.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like the Idol. I mean, I tried the Idol 4, and it seemed really nice. But it's going to, obviously with the materials, it's going to go up in price compared to last year's one.
Yeah, they're doing cooler things like on the 4S or the higher end one. The box is going to be a VR viewer. Yeah,
that is, cardboard compatible, I think it is. It's not like a bespoke thing, so that's cool. They're just building it to work with Google's pre-existing software.
Which is really, really cool. So, being quite conscious of A, the actual time, and B, how long we've been running for, that is also the end of my questions. Thank you, Cam, very much for joining me this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. It's awesome to talk tech with someone who loves tech. Probably more than I do.
Benefits of being a mega nerd in certain areas. Again, this has been episode 3 of Talking Tech, not Talking Tech. Tell me more. My interview series about the industry with people in the industry. This week was episode 3 with Mr. Cam Bunton of 95 Google. I've been Dom. I am at mobile_Dom on Twitter. Cam, what is your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is at Cam Bunton, CAMBUNTON.
Cool. Until next time, goodbye.